Welcome back, everyone. Before we dive in, make sure you drop your thoughts and the lessons you took from this story in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. The red dress was a mistake. Serena Walker smoothed her hands over the fabric as she stood in the crowded living room of the downtown Chicago apartment, scanning for Damon. She had spent 2 hours getting ready for this party. 2 hours curling her hair, perfecting her makeup, choosing this dress because Damon once said red was his favorite color on her. For years together, and she still wanted to look beautiful for him. The apartment belonged to Troy Harris, one of Damon's college friends. Music thumped through the speakers while people laughed and mingled around her. Serena did not know most of them well. Damon's friends had always felt like strangers. Even after all this time, they were polite to her face but never quite welcoming. She told herself she was imagining it. She finally spotted Damon near the bar cart, laughing with Troy and another friend, Reggie Moore. Damon looked relaxed, happy in a way he rarely seemed at home anymore. His shoulders were loose, his smile easy, beer bottle dangling from his fingers. Serena felt a quick tug of hope in her chest. Maybe tonight would be good. Maybe they would dance and go home and curl up together the way they used to. She slipped through the crowd toward him. "I will grab you a drink," Serena offered, already reaching for an empty glass. Damon barely looked at her. "Yeah, sure. Whatever," he said, eyes still on Reggie as if Serena were an afterthought. The word whatever stung more than it should have. She made her way to the kitchen, pouring herself a glass of wine and grabbing another beer for Damon. The music was quieter back here, and she took a moment to breathe, fingers resting on the cool countertop. Parties like this always exhausted her. She preferred quiet dinners, movie nights, the small moments that made a relationship feel real. For years they had been together. Serena had moved into Damon's apartment 2 years ago. She had turned down a job opportunity in Seattle because Damon said he was not ready for long distance. She had given up her book club nights because he complained she was never home. She had slowly molded herself into whatever shape he seemed to need, hoping the sacrifice meant something. And still there was this distance between them she could not name. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind. "Baby, when a man wants you, you know it. You do not have to guess." Serena pushed the thought away. She was overthinking. Damon loved her. He just was not the type to show it in obvious ways. Some men were like that, reserved, quiet with their affection. It did not mean anything was wrong. She picked up the drinks and headed back toward the living room. The crowd had shifted, and now Damon was out on the small back balcony with Troy, Reggie, and a few other guys. The sliding door was cracked open, letting in the cool Chicago night air. Serena approached, balancing the glasses, ready to join them. Then she heard her name. "So, when are you going to make it official with Serena?" Reggie's voice carried through the gap in the door. "For years, man. That is a long time." Serena stopped walking. Her heart did something strange in her chest. She pressed her back against the wall beside the door, hidden from view, but close enough to hear every word. Damon laughed. It was not a kind laugh. It was sharp, dismissive, the kind of laugh that made Serena's stomach drop. "Make it official?" Damon said. "You mean marriage?" "Yeah," Reggie said. "She is clearly waiting for a ring. Everyone can see it." There was a pause. Serena held her breath. "I would rather die than marry Serena." The words hit her like a physical blow. She felt them land in her chest, knock the air from her lungs, steal something vital from inside her. The glasses in her hands suddenly felt impossibly heavy. "Come on, man," Troy said, sounding uncomfortable. "That is cold." "I am serious," Damon replied. His voice was loose, probably from the alcohol, but there was no hesitation in it. "She is convenient, you know. She pays half the rent. She cooks. She is there when I want her. But marriage? Spending my whole life with her? No, I am not doing that." "Then why are you still with her?" Reggie asked quietly. "Because it is easy. Because I do not have to try. She will never leave. She is too scared to be alone." Serena's hands trembled. Wine sloshed over the rim of her glass, staining her fingers. She could not move. She could not breathe. The music inside the apartment seemed to grow louder, drowning out everything except the ringing in her ears. A saying from her grandmother slipped through her mind. "A drunk person speaks with a sober mind." It is something they have been wanting to say. The alcohol just gives them the courage. Damon was not saying something new. He was finally saying what he had always felt. This was how he saw her. Convenient. Easy. Too scared to leave. For years of her life. And this was what she meant to him. Something inside Serena shifted. It was not dramatic. There was no crying, no screaming, no rushing through the door to confront him. Instead, something quiet happened. Something permanent. A door closed inside her heart, and she knew it would never open for him again. She set the drinks down on a nearby side table in the hallway. Her movements were calm, deliberate. She wiped her wine-stained fingers on a napkin she found by the sink. Then she walked into the crowded living room, set her own glass down, and picked up her purse from where she had left it on the couch. Serena Walker walked out of that party without saying a word to anyone. She did not cry on the drive home. She did not call her older sister or her best friend. She just drove through the dark streets of Chicago with both hands on the wheel, her mind remarkably clear. Damon thought she was too scared to leave. Damon thought she would never go. Damon was about to learn how wrong he was. When she got back to the apartment she shared with him, she looked around at all the things that represented their life together. Her books on the shelf, wedged between his sports memorabilia. Her clothes hanging in one half of the closet. Her favorite mug by the coffee maker. For years of accumulation. For years of making this space feel like home. It had never been her home. She understood that now. She had been a guest the entire time, staying in a place where she was tolerated but never truly wanted. Serena pulled out her phone and sent one text to her sister, Carla. "Can I stay with you tonight? I will explain tomorrow." The response came almost immediately. "Of course." Door is unlocked. Serena grabbed her purse and her keys. She did not pack a bag. She did not leave a note. She simply walked out the door and did not look back. Tomorrow she would figure out the logistics. Tomorrow she would make a plan. Tonight she just needed to be somewhere she was actually wanted, somewhere in the city where she did not feel like an afterthought. As she drove to Carla's apartment on the south side, one thought kept circling in her mind. A drunk person speaks with a sober mind. Damon had finally told the truth, and Serena had finally heard it. She arrived close to midnight. Carla was waiting at the door in leggings and an oversized t-shirt, her hair wrapped in a scarf, eyes full of concern. "You look like you have been holding your breath for an hour," Carla said softly, stepping aside so Serena could come in. "I heard him," Serena replied, voice flat. "I heard what he really thinks of me." Carla did not push. "Do you want to talk now or sleep first?" "I will break if I talk right now," Serena said. "Can I just lie down?" "Of course," Carla said, guiding her to the small guest room. Serena did not sleep. She lay on the guest bed, staring at the ceiling while the hours crawled by. Her phone sat on the nightstand, silent. Damon had not called. He probably had not even noticed she had left the party. He was probably still out there on that balcony, laughing with his friends, secure in the belief that Serena would always be there when he decided to come home. That thought used to comfort her. Being the one who waited. Being the one who was always there. She had convinced herself it meant she was loyal, devoted, worthy of love. Now she saw it for what it was. She had been afraid. Afraid of being alone, afraid of starting over, afraid of admitting that the man she loved did not love her back. At 6 a.m, Carla knocked softly and entered with 2 cups of coffee. She was still in her pajamas, her face soft with sleep and worry. "You want to talk about it?" she asked, sitting on the edge of the bed. Serena sat up and took the mug. The warmth seeped into her hands, grounding her. "Damon told his friends he would rather die than marry me," Serena said. Carla's expression did not change. She just nodded slowly, as if Serena had confirmed something she had long suspected. "And I am done," Serena added, surprising herself with how steady her voice sounded. "Good," Carla said simply. There was no shock, no dramatic reaction. Carla had never liked Damon. She had been polite at family dinners, cordial at holidays, but Serena had always sensed her sister's reservations. Now she understood why. "You knew," Serena said quietly. "You knew he was not right for me." "I suspected," Carla replied. "But you had to see it for yourself, Rena. Nobody could tell you. You had to feel it." "I feel it now," Serena whispered. "So what is the plan?" Carla asked. Serena had been turning this over in her mind all night. The logistics of leaving a 4-year relationship. The apartment lease was in Damon's name, which made things simpler. Most of the furniture was his. Her furniture was minimal. Her clothes, her books, her personal items. That was all she needed. "I need to get my things," Serena said. "Today, while he is at work." "I will help," Carla said instantly. "We will get everything. Then we will block him. Then we will breathe." They waited until 9, when Damon would be safely at his office. Serena used her key one last time. The apartment was quiet and dim, the air thick with a familiarity that suddenly felt suffocating. They worked quickly. Carla had brought boxes and trash bags. They packed everything that belonged to Serena, which turned out to be far less than she expected. For years, and her presence in that apartment could fit in the back of Carla's SUV. That is kind of sad, Carla observed gently as she taped a box shut. It is freeing, Serena corrected, and she meant it. Every item she packed felt like a piece of herself she was reclaiming. Her favorite sweater, the worn novel with folded corners, the mug with the chipped handle, all coming back to her. When they were done, Serena left her key on the kitchen counter. No note, no explanation. Damon wanted easy. He was about to find out how easy life was without her. The hardest part came in the car, sitting outside the building, her phone open in her hand. Blocking felt so final, so absolute. You do not have to do it right now, Carla said quietly. If I do not do it now, I will start making excuses for him, Serena replied. Her thumb hovered over Damon's contact. Then she pressed and held. Block. She did the same on every social media platform. She removed their photos from her accounts. She did not delete them entirely because she was not trying to erase her own history. She just archived them somewhere she did not have to see. Then she sent a brief message to the mutual friends she trusted. Damon and I are no longer together. I am fine. Please do not share my contact information with him. By noon, Serena Walker had systematically erased herself from Damon Ellis's life in every way that mattered. You are not going to tell him why? Carla asked as they carried the last box into her apartment. He knows why, Serena said. But do you not want him to know that you heard? Do you not want to see his face when he realizes? Serena considered this. Part of her did want that. Part of her wanted to scream at him, to throw his words back in his face, to watch him squirm and apologize and beg. But a larger part understood something important. Confrontation is a form of connection, Serena said slowly. Anger is a form of caring. If I yell at him, I am giving him one more piece of me. He does not deserve another piece. Carla smiled, a slow, proud smile. You are colder than I thought, little sister. I am tired, Serena corrected. For years of being too accommodating. For years of shrinking myself to fit into his life. I am done being small. That afternoon, Serena called her best friend, Felicia Grant, and explained everything. She sat at Carla's tiny kitchen table, twisting a paper napkin in her fingers while Felicia listened on speaker. Felicia's reaction was immediate and loud. He said what? Felicia demanded. He really said he would rather die than marry you? Oh, absolutely not. Serena found herself laughing weakly even as tears pricked her eyes. I am okay, she kept saying. Really, Fee, I am okay. You are not okay, but you will be, Felicia said firmly. You can stay with me if you want. You can stay with Carla. You can rotate. We will feed you, and we will talk trash about him until you feel better. Serena smiled, feeling genuinely lighter for the first time in days. The shock of the party crystallized into something else. Not anger exactly, more like clarity. She could see her relationship with Damon now without the fog of hope clouding her vision. She could see how one-sided it had been, how much she had given and how little she had received. She could see how close she had come to wasting her entire life on someone who thought she was convenient. That night, Serena started apartment hunting online, scrolling through listings for one-bedroom places in neighborhoods she liked. She had savings. She had always been careful with money. She had a good marketing job with a steady income. Practically, she did not need Damon for anything. Emotionally, she had just needed to believe that she did. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Damon must have borrowed someone's phone. Serena, where are you? Did something happen? Your stuff is gone. Call me. She deleted the message without responding. Another came. This is not funny. Where are you? Delete. Serena, please. I do not understand what is going on. Delete. The messages kept coming throughout the evening, growing increasingly frantic. Serena read none of them. She just kept deleting one after another until eventually her phone went quiet. That night she slept better than she had in years. Across the city, Damon Ellis came home to silence. He had expected Serena to be there like she always was. He had expected dinner on the stove, her asking about his day, her quiet presence in the background of his life. Instead, he found an empty apartment. Her toothbrush was gone from the bathroom. Her clothes were gone from the closet. Her books were gone from the shelf. Even the throw pillow she had insisted on buying for the couch was gone. Damon stood in the middle of the living room, slowly turning in a circle, trying to understand what he was seeing. This did not make sense. Serena was always here. Serena never left. He called her phone. It went straight to voicemail. He tried again. Voicemail. He sent a text, then another, then another. No response. His heart began to pound. Something was wrong. Something terrible must have happened. A family emergency. An accident. He grabbed his keys and drove to her mother's house in a quiet suburb outside the city. But the lights were off and no one answered the door. He called Carla. The phone rang twice before she answered. "What did you do, Damon?" she asked, her voice ice cold. Damon felt his stomach drop. "What? I did not do anything. Where is Serena?" "She does not want to talk to you," Carla said. "What are you talking about?" "She just left. She took all her stuff. I do not understand what is happening." There was a pause. When Carla spoke again, her voice was measured, controlled. "She heard you, Damon. At the party. She heard everything you said." The world tilted. Damon's mind raced backward, trying to remember the party, the balcony, the conversation. Reggie asking about marriage. Damon, loose from alcohol, running his mouth like he always did when he had had too much to drink. What had he said? He could not remember exactly. Something about Serena. Something about marriage. A chill moved through him. "Oh no," he whispered. No, I need to explain. I was drunk. I did not mean." "A drunk person speaks with a sober mind," Carla interrupted. "That is what our grandmother used to say. You said what you really feel, Damon. And now Serena knows. So do us all a favor and leave her alone." She hung up. Damon sat in his car outside Carla's building for an hour, hoping Serena would come out. She did not. Eventually, a neighbor called the police to report a suspicious vehicle, and Damon was forced to leave. The next few days were torture. Damon showed up at Serena's office, but the receptionist told him Serena had requested that he not be allowed past the front desk. He waited in the parking lot until security escorted him off the property. He tried reaching out to their mutual friends, but everyone gave him the same answer. Serena was fine. Serena did not want to talk to him. Serena had moved on. How could she move on so quickly? They had been together for 4 years. Did that not mean anything? Damon replayed that night in his mind obsessively, trying to reconstruct every word. The details were fuzzy, blurred by alcohol, but he remembered Reggie's question. He remembered laughing. He remembered saying something about marriage, something dismissive, something cruel. "I would rather die than marry Serena." Had he really said that? Had those words really come out of his mouth? The worst part was he could not honestly say he did not mean them, at least in that moment. He had been coasting in the relationship for a long time, taking Serena's presence for granted while privately resenting her for being there. He had wanted the benefits of a girlfriend without the commitment of a partner. He had wanted easy, and now easy was gone. A week after Serena disappeared from his life, Damon ran into Reggie at a bar near his office. "Man, you look terrible," Reggie observed, taking in Damon's hollow eyes and rumpled clothes. "Serena left me," Damon said, his voice raw. "Yeah, I heard," Reggie replied, taking a sip of his drink. "I cannot say I blame her." "She heard what I said at the party," Damon muttered. Reggie nodded slowly. "That is rough. I need to fix this," Damon insisted. "I need to talk to her." "Why?" Reggie asked. The question caught Damon off guard. "What do you mean, why?" "Because I love her. Because we have been together for 4 years." Reggie looked at him for a long moment. "Do you, though?" he asked quietly. "Love her, I mean." "Because nothing you said that night sounded like love. It sounded like convenience." Damon did not have an answer. He went home alone to his empty apartment. For the first time in years, he understood what lonely actually felt like. Serena's absence was everywhere. In the quiet kitchen, the unmade bed, the missing throw pillow on the couch. She had been such a constant presence that he had stopped seeing her. Now that she was gone, he could not see anything else. While Damon unraveled, Serena built. She found a 1-bedroom apartment in a quieter neighborhood on the northwest side, smaller than what she was used to but entirely her own. She painted the walls a soft blue and chose furniture she loved without compromise. She hung photos of her family and friends and left no space for memories that hurt. The healing was not linear. Some days she felt powerful, liberated, proud of herself for walking away. Other days she woke up crying, haunted by the echo of Damon's voice saying he would rather die than marry her. The words played on a loop in her mind, dissecting her worth, making her question everything she had believed about herself. In the 3rd week, Serena started therapy with Dr. Michelle Roberts, a gentle woman with kind eyes and a direct manner. "Tell me about the relationship," Dr. Roberts said in their first session. Serena talked for almost an hour. She talked about meeting Damon at a work conference, about the early days when he had seemed attentive and interested, about the slow erosion of his affection over the years. She talked about the job she had turned down, the friendships she had neglected, the pieces of herself she had abandoned to fit into his life. "You gave up a lot," Dr. Roberts observed. "I thought that was what love meant," Serena admitted. "And what do you think now?" Dr. Roberts asked. Serena sat in silence, then answered. "I think I was so afraid of being alone that I accepted being with someone who did not value me." She took a breath. "Now I am learning that being alone is better than being with someone who wishes you were gone." Therapy helped, but it was her people who saved her. Felicia came over every weekend with wine, takeout, and endless conversation. Carla called every morning to check in. Her mother, Patricia, drove in from Gary one Saturday with curtains and decorative pillows. "I am proud of you," Patricia said, standing on a chair to hang a curtain rod. "I know this is not easy." "It is easier than staying would have been," Serena replied. "That is wisdom, baby. That is growth," Patricia said, climbing down and wrapping her daughter in a tight hug. Serena returned to work at her Chicago marketing firm with new focus. She had always been good at her job, but she had been holding back, afraid of outshining Damon, afraid of making him feel inadequate. Now she had no one to shrink for. She threw herself into a major campaign for one of their biggest clients, the Henderson account. She worked late, pitched bold ideas, and impressed the executives with her creativity and dedication. Her boss, a sharp woman named Linda Carson, noticed. "You are different lately," Linda said after a particularly successful presentation. "More confident, more willing to take risks." "I recently got out of a relationship," Serena admitted. "Must have been a bad one," Linda said gently. "It was," Serena replied. "I just did not realize it until the end." Linda nodded knowingly. "The bad ones have a way of making us small. The trick is growing back." Serena was growing back, slowly, painfully, but undeniably. She blocked unknown numbers that kept calling. She ignored the letters that appeared in her mailbox with Damon's handwriting. She declined every request from mutual friends to just hear him out. There was nothing to explain. She had heard everything she needed to hear. One evening, Felicia arrived with Chinese takeout and a serious expression. "Damon showed up at my office today," she said, dropping onto the couch. Serena's stomach tightened. "What did he want?" "He wanted me to talk to you for him," Felicia said. "He looks like he has not slept in weeks. He kept saying he made a mistake, that he did not mean what he said, that he loves you." "And what did you tell him?" Serena asked. Felicia picked up an egg roll and took a deliberate bite. "I told him that if he loved you, he would have acted like it for the past 4 years," she said. "I told him words do not mean anything when your actions tell a different story. And I told him that if he showed up at my office again, I would have security remove him." Serena felt tears prick her eyes, not from sadness but from gratitude. This was what it meant to have people in her corner. People who saw her worth even when she forgot. "Thank you," she said quietly. "Please. That man never deserved you," Felicia replied. "Everyone could see it but you." Serena wiped her eyes. "Why did nobody tell me?" "We tried," Felicia said gently. "Remember that dinner 3 years ago when your mother asked if Damon made you feel cherished? Remember when Carla said she did not like the way he talked to you at Christmas? We told you, Rena. You just were not ready to hear it." Serena remembered those conversations now, the gentle hints, the careful concern. She had dismissed them all, convinced that her family did not understand. She had been blind. "I am ready now," she said. "That is all that matters," Felicia replied. 3 months after leaving Damon, Serena received a promotion. She sat in Linda's office, staring at the offer letter. Senior Marketing Director. A significant raise. Her own team to manage. Everything she had been working toward for years. "You have earned this," Linda said. "You have been invaluable these past few months. Your work on the Henderson campaign alone was worth the promotion." "Thank you," Serena managed. "I do not even know what to say." "Say yes," Linda replied with a smile. "And then get back to work." Serena floated through the rest of the day in a haze of happiness. She called her mother from the parking garage, unable to wait. "Senior Director," Patricia repeated, her voice full of joy. "Baby, that is wonderful." "I still cannot believe it," Serena said. "Believe it," Patricia replied. You have always been capable of great things. You just needed to believe it yourself. Serena drove to her new apartment, opened a bottle of champagne she had been saving, and sat on her blue couch surrounded by her blue walls. She toasted to herself. She was doing it. She was building a life she was proud of. Her social life expanded too. She started saying yes to invitations she would have declined when she was with Damon. Happy hours with coworkers. Weekend brunch with old college friends. A book club that met once a month at a wine bar downtown. She rebuilt the connections she had let fade, and it felt like coming home to herself. One afternoon, Serena received a message request on social media from Troy Harris, the friend whose party had been the beginning of the end. She almost deleted it without reading, but curiosity won. Serena, I know you probably do not want to hear from anyone connected to Damon, but I wanted to apologize. What he said that night was wrong, and I should have called him out. I am sorry I did not. You deserve better. I hope you are doing well. Serena stared at the message for a long time. Then she typed a simple response. Thank you. I appreciate that. She did not engage further. She did not need to. But it was nice to know that not everyone in Damon's circle was blind to his behavior. Damon himself had not given up. He sent flowers to her office, which she donated to a nursing home without reading the card. He tried to approach her twice downtown, but both times she walked away before he could speak. Months passed. On a gray Tuesday afternoon, Damon walked into a coffee shop near his office for a client meeting. He ordered his usual and turned to find a seat. And there she was. Serena sat by the window, sunlight streaming across her face, a book open in her hands. Her hair was shorter, curled softly around her jaw. She wore a green blouse that made her look like every fresh start he had ever ignored. His heart stopped. His feet moved before his brain could stop them. Serena looked up as he reached her table, and her expression shifted from surprise to cool detachment. Serena, Damon said. His voice cracked on her name. You look good. Thank you, she replied evenly. She did not invite him to sit. She did not ask how he was. She just waited. Can we talk? He managed. We are talking, she said. I mean really talk. About us. About what happened. Serena closed her book and set it on the table. Her movements were unhurried, deliberate. There is no us, Damon, she said. And I know exactly what happened. I was drunk, he blurted. I did not mean. Yes, you did, Serena interrupted softly. Her voice was quiet but firm. A drunk person speaks with a sober mind. That is something my grandmother used to say. You said what you really feel. The alcohol just gave you permission. Damon felt tears prick his eyes. I made a mistake. You made a choice, Serena corrected. For 4 years, you made the choice to treat me like I did not matter. The words at the party were just the truth finally coming out. I am sorry, Damon whispered. I know, Serena said. Can you not forgive me? He asked. Serena tilted her head, studying him with an expression that was almost pity. Forgiveness is not the same as reconciliation, Damon. I can forgive you and still never want you in my life again. That is where I am. She picked up her book and her coffee, then stood. Panic rose in his chest. Serena, please. I love you. She paused for a heartbeat. If that is love, she said quietly, I do not want it. Goodbye, Damon. She walked past him and out the door, leaving him standing in the middle of the coffee shop with the weight of his consequences finally too heavy to ignore. 6 months after the night she left Troy's party, Serena barely thought about Damon anymore. His memory had faded from a constant ache to an occasional twinge, like an old injury that only hurt in certain weather. She was too busy to dwell on the past. Her new position demanded her attention. Her social life had flourished. She had discovered a contentment she had never thought possible. That winter, she attended the annual charity gala for a children's foundation at a hotel ballroom overlooking the Chicago River. Serena had attended before, always on Damon's arm, always feeling like an accessory. This year she was there on her own, representing her company and herself. She wore a royal blue gown that made her feel like royalty, her hair swept into an elegant twist. Diamond studs glittered at her ears, a birthday gift from her mother. The evening progressed pleasantly. Serena mingled with colleagues and clients, made connections that might benefit her career, and even tolerated the predictable banquet dinner. She was at the bar ordering a glass of wine when someone spoke beside her. The Sauvignon Blanc is excellent if you are deciding, a warm voice said. Serena turned. The man who had spoken stood a little taller than her in heels, with kind eyes and an easy smile. His navy suit fit him perfectly, but there was nothing arrogant about his posture. "I will trust your judgment," she said. "Brandon Holt," he said, extending his hand. "Serena Walker," she replied, shaking it. His grip was firm, but not aggressive. "I have seen you at these events before," Brandon said, accepting his own glass from the bartender. "Always with someone else. I am glad to see you on your own tonight." Serena raised an eyebrow. "That is a surprisingly bold thing to say." "I prefer to think of it as honest," Brandon replied, smiling. "Can I be even more honest?" "Go ahead," she said. "I have wanted to introduce myself for 2 years," he admitted. "I just never had the chance. Or the timing was wrong." Serena felt warmth spread through her chest. Not so much attraction as recognition. Here was someone who had noticed her, who had waited, who had respected the boundaries of a relationship he knew nothing about. "Well," she said, raising her glass. "Now you have your chance." They talked for most of the evening. Brandon was a partner at an architecture firm downtown. He was 32, never married, with a rescue dog named Oscar and a weakness for bad action movies. He made Serena laugh more than she had laughed in months. "Can I call you?" he asked at the end of the night. "Or is that too forward?" "It is honest," she said, echoing his earlier words. "And I appreciate honest." She gave him her number, and he texted her before she reached her car. "It was wonderful meeting you, Serena. Oscar says hello." She smiled at her phone in the cold night air. She did not know what this was or what it might become, but for the first time in a long time, she was curious instead of afraid. Brandon called 3 days later and asked her to dinner. Serena accepted, though she was nervous in a way she had not expected. First dates after a long relationship felt strange, like trying to remember a language she used to speak fluently. They went to a small Italian restaurant in the Arts District. Brandon was charming without being pushy, attentive without being overbearing. He asked her questions and actually listened to the answers. He talked about his work with passion, his family with warmth, his future with optimism. Over dessert, Serena took a breath. "I should be honest with you," she said. "I just got out of a serious relationship. For years. It ended badly. I am not sure I am ready for anything serious yet." Brandon nodded thoughtfully. "I appreciate you telling me," he said. "Can I ask what happened?" Serena hesitated, then surprised herself by telling him. Not every detail, but enough. The party. The words on the balcony. The quiet drive across the city. The boxes. The blocking. Brandon listened without interrupting, his expression steadily focused on her face. When she finished, he shook his head slowly. "That man is an idiot," he said simply. Serena laughed softly. "That is what my sister says." "Your sister is a smart woman," Brandon replied. He reached across the table and touched her hand lightly. "I am not going to push you into anything. If you want to take things slow, we will take things slow. If you decide you are not interested, I will respect that too. But I want you to know I think you are remarkable. Any man who could not see that was looking in a mirror, not at you." Serena felt tears sting her eyes for the first time in weeks, but these were not the shattering kind. They were the healing kind, the kind that came when someone saw you clearly and liked what they saw. "Slow sounds good," she said. "Then slow it is," Brandon replied. Falling for Brandon was like learning to swim in calm water after nearly drowning in a storm. Serena was cautious. She waited for the shifts, for the sudden coldness, for the dismissive laugh that would make her shrink. It never came. Brandon showed up when he said he would. He called when he said he would call. He remembered the small details she mentioned in passing. "He is good for you," Felicia observed one night as they shared a bottle of wine in Serena's living room. "You are lighter around him. Happier." "I am scared it will not last," Serena admitted. "Why?" Felicia asked. "Because I thought Damon was good for me too. I was wrong for 4 years. What if I am wrong again?" Felicia reached over and squeezed her hand. "The difference is that Damon made you feel small," she said. "Brandon makes you feel like yourself. Trust that." Serena tried. One evening, she and Brandon walked Oscar in a park near his place, the air cool and crisp, the skyline glowing in the distance. The dog trotted ahead, delighted by every leaf. Brandon's hand was warm in hers. "Can I tell you something?" he asked. "Always," she said. "I know you are scared," Brandon said quietly. "I know your last relationship hurt you in ways you are still healing from. But I want you to know I am not going anywhere. However long it takes for you to trust me, I will wait." Serena stopped walking. She turned to face him, heart thudding. "I am not used to being chosen," she admitted. "I am used to being tolerated." Then let me change that, he said. He did not rush to kiss her. He just held her gaze, steady and patient, letting her see that he meant every word. Something shifted inside her. Not the closing of a door this time, but the opening of one. She introduced Brandon to her family the following month. Patricia approved within 10 minutes. Carla remained guarded through most of dinner, studying him like an exam she intended to ace. By dessert, she was laughing at Brandon's stories and stealing bites of his cheesecake. He is nothing like Damon, Carla said later, when Brandon was in the kitchen helping Patricia with the dishes. I know, Serena said. That is a good thing. I know that too, Carla replied. That night, Serena told Brandon the full story of the party for the first time. The red dress. The drinks in her hands. The exact words Damon had said. She told him about standing frozen outside the balcony door, the drive to Carla's apartment, the boxes, the blocking, the terror and relief tangled together. When she finished, Brandon took both her hands in his. I need you to hear something, he said. And I need you to believe it. Okay, she whispered. There is nothing about you that is convenient, he said. There is nothing about you that is just easy. You are extraordinary, Serena. You are brave and kind and smart and beautiful. Any man who could not see that was staring at his own reflection instead of at you. Serena cried then. Really cried, for the first time since she had walked out of Troy's apartment. She cried for the years she had wasted, for the woman she had almost become, for the future she had nearly given away. Brandon held her through all of it, not trying to fix anything, just being there. When the tears finally stopped, she felt lighter than she had in years. Thank you, she whispered. For what? He asked. For seeing me, she said. He kissed her forehead. I see you, Serena, he said softly. I always have. 1 year after Serena Walker walked out of a party without a word, she stood in a garden outside a conservatory on the edge of the city, surrounded by everyone she loved. White chairs lined the aisle. Flowers bloomed in every color. A string quartet played softly as sunlight poured over everything like blessing. Serena wore an emerald green gown that matched the ring on her finger. Brandon's ring. He had proposed 3 months earlier on a quiet evening at home. No elaborate spectacle. No audience. Just Brandon, on one knee in their living room, Oscar snoring on the couch. Serena Walker, he had said. I have spent my whole life looking for someone who makes the world make sense. You are that someone. Will you marry me? She had said yes before he finished the question. Now, as she walked down the aisle toward him, Serena thought about the journey that had brought her here. The heartbreak. The healing. The slow, painful rebuilding of her sense of worth. It had not been easy. It had not been quick. But it had led her to this moment, to this man, to this life she had built first on her own, and then with him. Felicia stood beside her as maid of honor, already crying before the ceremony began. Carla stood on Brandon's side, a coral dress bright against the greenery, smiling like she had been waiting to exhale for a year. Patricia sat in the front row, clutching a tissue, pride shining in her eyes. Brandon waited at the altar, his gaze never leaving Serena's face. He looked at her like she was the only person in the world, and she felt it in every cell of her body. This was what it felt like to be truly seen, truly valued, truly loved. The ceremony was short and sweet. They had written their own vows. Serena's voice trembled only once. Brandon, she said, you taught me that love does not have to hurt. You taught me that being chosen is not the same as being settled for. You showed me who I could be when I was with someone who believed in me. I promised to spend the rest of my life believing in you the way you believed in me. Brandon's vows were equally simple and devastating. By the time the officiant pronounced them married, there was not a dry eye in the garden. At the reception, Serena danced with her mother, then with her father, then with Felicia, then with Carla. She laughed until her cheeks hurt. She ate cake and drank champagne and kissed her husband every time their eyes met across the room. Near the end of the evening, her phone buzzed in her clutch with a social media notification. Someone had tagged her in a post. Serena hesitated, then checked. It was a comment under a photo someone had posted of her and Brandon at the altar. The username was unfamiliar, but the message was unmistakable. Congratulations, Serena. You deserve to be happy. I am sorry I could not be the one to give you that. I wish you nothing but the best. Damon. Serena stared at the message for a long moment. Then she deleted the notification and put her phone away. She did not need his blessing. She did not need his apology. She did not need anything from him at all. The best revenge was never a speech, never a scene. The best revenge was living well, and Serena Walker was living beautifully. She found Brandon on the dance floor, surrounded by friends and family, laughing at something his best man had just said. He saw her approach and extended his hand, eyes soft and full. "One more dance, Mrs. Holt," he asked. Serena took his hand. "As many as you want," she replied. They swayed together under the string lights and the open sky, the garden humming with quiet joy all around them. Serena let herself feel the full weight of her happiness, unfiltered. It had taken walking away from everything she thought she wanted to find what she truly deserved. It had taken losing the life she was scared to leave to discover the one she was brave enough to build. In Brandon's arms, surrounded by her people, Serena knew one thing with absolute certainty. She would never again settle for being convenient. She would never again beg to be chosen. She had chosen herself first, and because of that, she had ended up here, in a life where love felt like safety instead of fear. And as the music played and Brandon held her close, she knew she would never go back. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.